Welcome to the program, Andrew Klavan.
Thanks, Glenn. It's great to be here.
So, are you shocked at how quickly socialism has become totally cool?
You know, it is a little shocking, but the funny thing about socialism is it's kind of diabolical. It takes about 70 years to suck a country dry when you institute socialism. If you look at the communist revolution to the fall of the Berlin Wall, just about a lifetime. You look at the post-World War II Europe that went very socialist to today when Europe is essentially being subsumed by migration and by a loss of inner faith in themselves, just in about a lifetime. So it's diabolical because the people who start the socialism and the people who see the society fall are not the same people, and they don't connect. They think, oh, it can't be the national health care that's turned us from an empire into a backwater. That can't be right because I've had national health care all my life. But that is, in fact, what it is. It's the socialism that is both the symptom of the disease. Socialism comes in as a society has lost faith in itself, and it's also the cause of that disease getting worse. It sucks out, it does so many things, but the two most important things that socialism does is the first thing is it institutes the logic of slavery. I'm a big believer that ideas expand to fulfill their own logic. So you start out by saying all men are created equal, meaning all white men, essentially. But that idea is going to expand to include everybody, and women too, eventually, because ideas expand. The basic idea of socialism is that your time that you put into your work that creates your money belongs to the state. Your life belongs to the state. It's exactly the same logic that a master says to his slave. He says to his slave, you do the work, but I'll get the profits because I'm superior to you. And that's what the state says to the people under socialism. So it essentially turns you into slaves. You wonder why in a single generation Nicaragua becomes a slave state. It goes from being a right-wing slave state to being a left-wing slave state. Venezuela is destroyed in a blink of an eye. And basically the juice of Europe, the thing that made Europe the greatest civilization on earth, the Europe of Shakespeare, the Europe of Mozart, the Europe of John Locke, that Europe is gone. You know, that Europe is just gone. And socialism has a lot to do with it. And the other thing, and to me, you know, sometimes people go a little nuts when I say this because they don't quite understand what I mean, but socialism is a materialist philosophy. In order to turn people into slaves, you got to take their God away. You can't say to them, you know, God made you in his image, you are unique, you are cherished, you're loved. You have dignity because you're taking his rights away. What you're saying to him is everything you need is contained in a dollar bill and a lunch bag. You know, I give you a dollar bill and a lunch bag, you're happy. You don't need meaning. You don't need, dignity. You just need your dollar. I give you enough money in a lunch bag and you let me make the decisions. Once you take God out of a civilization, you've literally taken the meaning out of a civilization. You've basically said that the only thing you are physical beings. You live, you have pleasure, you have pain, and you die. And when you say that to people, the reason for all the stuff that we do, all the great stuff that we do, all the stuff that makes us a vibrant, a creative civilization like America, it's gone. It's gone. There's no reason to sit in your garage and starve for 14 years to invent some kind of new battery that'll store wind power. You know, you don't have to do that because there's no meaning to it. And you watch socialist countries, and this happens to every single one of them. I always hear people when they tout socialism, they look at countries that aren't really socialist but have very high taxes and a lot of social spending like Norway. And they say, the polls show everybody's happy in Norway. And you think, yeah, but everything they use was invented in a capitalist country. Are they using cell phones? Are they using cars? Do they have an army that can protect them, or do they depend on our army to keep invaders away? They're living in our garage. So they're happy in the same way that children are happy because they don't have to take care of anything. They don't have to make anything. It's a lot harder to be dad than it is to be, the 4-year-old kid. And I just think when we stop and just look at the internal logic of socialism, and you see a pretty girl like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, talking about it, you think like, wow, this sounds pretty good. But if you could live 140 years instead of 70 years and see what it does to a nation, you would understand that this is the wedge of a very, very dangerous and destructive philosophy.
How concerned were you when you heard Cortez say, capitalism isn't going to be around forever. And all of these things that you say happened because of the free market and because of the Constitution and the Enlightenment, that's just man's natural evolution. They would have come up with this anyway.
That's a wonderful philosophy. I mean, the kind of saving grace of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is that she's a dolt.
But she's not. She has 2 degrees. She has an economics degree and foreign affairs degree.
Glenn, you're making me lose my faith in higher education.
I didn't know you had any.
Because the woman says we have low unemployment because everyone has 2 jobs, and I'm sort of counting on my finger, and I think, well, if we had 1 job, we'd still have the same unemployment numbers. It's a very strange way of thinking. But yeah, I mean, that is what you have to tell yourself. Capitalism has reduced poverty around the world. This world we live in, this world of wonders and wealth, where, where people are living, even the poor are living in ways that the pharaohs couldn't have dreamed of. If the pharaoh who built the pyramids walked into a convenience store in our world, he'd be shocked. This world didn't drop out of the sky. This world was built by capitalism. And on what evidence you are saying that is an idea? Sure, it's an idea that transformed the world for the better, but now we've evolved out of it. My question, I guess, is what's your evidence? How do you know that the future is some perfect socialist world where we get to spend what capitalism created? I mean, where's the logic in that? If you spend what capitalism created, what's going to create more wealth?